The views and opinions of this program presented by the host and guests do not reflect those of Bronc Radio TV nor the university. You're listening to the Political Hour here on Bronc Radio.
Good afternoon and welcome to a very special edition of the Political Hour. I'm your host, Omar Jimenez, and on this week's edition, we have candidates running for Hidalgo County's 92nd District Court for the Democratic nomination. Here with us today is Ray Ortiz, who is an attorney, Luis Singleterry, a municipal judge for the city of FAR, and Miguel Wise, the former mayor of the city of Weslaco. Gentlemen, good afternoon. Thank you for coming on the show.
Good afternoon.
Thank you for having us.
So the format for today's show, each candidate will have 3 minutes, pre-selected questions that I have chosen, and any rebuttals will be for a minute. Pretty quick and easy question. We're going to go ahead and start with introductions and make our way down. So we'll start with Mr. Ray Ortiz.
Yes, so my name is Ray Ortiz. I'm an attorney in McAllen. I've been a lawyer for 35 years. I'm board certified in personal injury law. But I'm also a mediator. I was the second mediator in the Rio Grande Valley 20 years ago. I've mediated close to 900 cases as of date. I'm an arbitrator. I've been a master. I've been a receiver. I've done a lot of things in my legal career. But beyond that, I also have a real estate broker's license. I've been a professor at STC. And I've been a professor at the Reynaldo Garza School of Law that used to be here about 10, 15 years ago. So I've done a little bit of everything. And I think that's what qualifies me for this job, because you need broad-based experience for this position. If you limit yourself to one area of law, criminal defense, for example, then that's all the knowledge you have. And criminals need lawyers too, don't get me wrong. But in this position, you need to have a broad-based experience, not only in the legal field, but in the work field and in life in general.
Thank you. Mr. Singletary.
Good afternoon. Hi, yes. My name is Luis Singleterry. I'm a lifelong resident of Hidalgo County. I grew up in the city of FAR. I went to school, graduated from PSJ High School, very proud of that. I've been an attorney for the last 15 years. I have an office here in McAllen. And I do all kinds of work. I represent clients from all walks of life. I handle criminal cases, criminal defense cases. I handle civil cases. I do a lot of family law. So I'm one of those attorneys that kind of does a little bit of everything. I've been serving as a municipal judge for the city of FAR for the past 10 years. Back in 2004, I was very blessed and very fortunate to have gotten that opportunity. I've been doing that again now for almost 10 years. And I believe that it's the wide range of experience in the courtroom that I have that makes me the most qualified candidate in this race. As a presiding judge in the 92nd District Court, you're going to hear a variety of cases, again, covering all the cases I just described, criminal, family, and civil, which is my background. In addition to that, I'm the only candidate in this race that has any judicial experience, which I believe is going to be, extremely helpful. I mean, obviously, if we're seeking a position as a judge, what better position or what better experience to have coming into this position than having had experience as a judge already. That's my background.
Thank you. Mr. Wise.
Yes, sir. Thank you very much, Omar, for hosting this program. I think it's very important that your listeners, the students of Pan Am, and anyone who has access to the web can access your show. I think getting to know who the candidates that are running, I think, is critical, and I consider Luis and Ray friends, so it's very unique to run against them. But I believe that a courtroom belongs to the people and not just a small group of individuals. A courtroom where core values of equality, respect, integrity, impartiality, and fairness is the rule, not the exception. In short, a courtroom that ensures a level playing field to parties and their attorneys. My name is Miguel Wise, and I am running for the 92nd Judicial District Court. I've been practicing law. This is my 30th year practicing law. I am a former state representative. I served 8 years in Austin for District 39, which is the eastern part of the county. I have, up until recently, been the mayor of Weslaco. My legislative experience involves serving on the executive board of multiple caucuses, as well as chairman of the military sub-chair the chairman of the subcommittee for military affairs in the Texas legislature. Part of that is my history as a veteran. I am airborne qualified. I separated as a captain and infantry officer. My latest duty station was an Armor Unit 6 of the 112 Armor. Like Ray, I teach at STC. I'm an adjunct professor when they ask me to. I serve as a mediator. I have also served as a special master. I practice the same areas that really all three of us are practicing, which is civil law, criminal law, family law, and taxation. These are all issues in this court, which is a court of general jurisdiction. So I think my experience. We're all talking about our experiences, and being a former Scoutmaster and Eagle Scout, 3 sons with Eagle Scouts, I think I bring to the table those core values that are necessary. You may not know this, your public may not know this, but this is the only court in the entire state, district courts, that can actually issue death warrants. You can actually send someone to the death chamber, death gallows. So it's an awesome responsibility that each of us, if we're elected, would have to face. So thank you for having me.
Thank you, Mr. Wise. The next question is, can you talk about your different backgrounds that is related to the position that you're running for, and how will that help you to better yourselves if you're elected to this job? And we're going to start with Mr. Wise and work our way down.
Sure, thank you. Judges, I'd have to disagree with Mr. Singleterry. I don't think you need to be a municipal judge to go into the shoes of being a district court judge. As mayor, I had 2 municipal judges, and they serve a very, very vital purpose, and that is enforcing the ordinances and the traffic laws of the state of Texas, being Class C misdemeanors, which are punishable by fine, not by a jail sentence necessarily. If you compare a public intoxication case, which is heard in municipal court, versus a capital murder case, the difference between those two is as deep and wide as the Grand Canyon. So I don't think you need to be a municipal judge. In fact, I don't think any sitting judge currently, county or district, was ever a municipal judge. But I certainly appreciate the hard work that Mr. Singletary has done for his city, which I think is far. I think to be a judge, you just need to have a lot of life experiences. You need to have a lot of life skills. I'm a father of 3, been married 29 years to the same beautiful lady. My 3 kids are Eagle Scouts. We're really big into the scouting community. I serve on the national board. And I think, having a wide range in which I think, most of us here at the table do, and that is wide range in the fields of civil, criminal, and family law. I think that's what gives you the edge of anybody else that's running, and that is, I think, life experiences as well as your experience as an attorney.
Thank you. Mr. Singletary.
Yes. Same question?
Yeah, same question.
Well, obviously, everybody in this room, we all have our own individual experience. One thing that we all have in common is that we're all attorneys. So the question really becomes, who is the most qualified attorney to take this position? I think it's obvious that the person who, the most valuable experience that an attorney can have to become a judge is the experience that one obtains in the courtroom. A district judge needs to preside over a courtroom, needs to run a courtroom efficiently, effectively for the citizens of this county. So the fact that I am in a courtroom almost every single day of my life, whether it be at the state court, whether it be at the federal courts, whether it be here locally or anywhere around the country, and the fact that I do preside in a municipal court, all these things are things that are very valuable. It's just experience upon experience upon experience on a daily basis. Now, the type of work, again, that I do requires that I spend all of my time, or the majority of my time, in a courtroom. I handle cases, whether it be somebody that I represent on a traffic ticket, which I've done on occasion, or whether I represent somebody on a capital murder where the death penalty is being sought. Here in Hidalgo County, there's only a handful of attorneys who are actually qualified, certified to work on death penalty cases, and I'm one of them. So I have fought for people's money. I have fought for their families, but I've literally fought for people's lives. all that experience, and again, I've been practicing 15 years, which is less time than these two gentlemen have been practicing. But during those 15 years, I've made the most out of that time, and I've made sure that I've, gained a lot of experience. And it's not just the courtroom experience, it's the types of cases that I've handled. There's no substitute, in my opinion, for courtroom experience for these positions, period. Everybody has other areas that they work at, and I'm sure, made plenty of money doing it and whatnot, and very valuable experience too. But I have life experience just like they do. I'm also married. I'm married to an attorney. My wife is a lawyer. I mean, we, day in, day out, at home, when we go out to dinner, when we come home late at night, we live the law, 24/7. All that experience, all that time, it's just time and experience that adds up, and it's what I bring to the table. The majority of the cases that are heard in these courts are family and criminal. So by virtue of doing the type of work that I've done over the years, I think makes me the most qualified candidate. In addition to that, I disagree with Mr. Wise. I think that it is very important that people know and consider the fact that I have judicial experience, because we do a lot more than just handle traffic tickets. We deal with
Thank you, Mr. Singletary. Your time has expired. We're going to go with Mr. Ortiz with the same question.
Thank you very much. First of all, I disagree with my opponent here. I think Mr. Wise is correct that the, quote, judicial experience that Mr. Singletary has really doesn't qualify him, that in itself, to be a district court judge. You're talking about a municipal court judge, and you first have to ask the question, what does a municipal court judge do? A municipal court judge does not have to be an attorney, number one. Number two, municipal court judge presides over city laws, not state laws. So if you want someone with experience dealing with traffic cases, then he's your man. If you want someone dealing with noisy neighbors or noisy dogs, then that's the person you vote for. But if you want a lawyer with real trial experience in the courtroom fighting cases to a jury or to a judge, then you're going to vote for Ray Ortiz. The difference is clear. I've been a lawyer almost as long as Mr. Singletary has been on this earth. Mr. Wise has considerably more experience at 30 years, and Mr. Wise is correct. You need to combine not only legal experience, real experience, but your life experiences and your work experiences. I've been independent and on my own since I was 16 years old. I worked my way through college. I worked my way through law school. I worked at the post office for many years, delivering mail. I worked at Payless shoe stores. I worked, and my family taught me the value of work, and I've not shied away from that. I don't come from a political family. No one's pushing me to run for a judge. I have a wife and a daughter and grandchildren that live in this county, and I'm very proud of that, very proud of them, and I want to make them proud and the citizens proud, because I'm doing this because I want to do it. I don't have to do it. I feel I have an obligation really to the community and to the profession that's given me so much over 35 years, and that's the reason that I'm running. But my experience, I'm the only board certified lawyer in this group here. What that means is that I have a special certification to try personal injury cases. But I'm a real estate broker also, so I've tried many real estate cases because I know the area. I'm on the bank of a board of directors of a bank here locally, so I've sued banks and I've defended banks. So my range and broad range of experience in actually trying cases in the courtroom is more than either one of these candidates. So when I agree with Mr. Wise that you have to know the candidate, ask the hard questions, know these candidates, who are they, what have they done, and where have they been? And I think that when you ask those questions and get the answers, you'll vote for Ray Ortiz.
Thank you, Mr. Ortiz. Mr. Wise, would you care for a 1 minute rebuttal?
Well, no, I agree wholeheartedly with Ray. I think you have to look at the individual's experience as an attorney. Ray and I'm coming on 30, and Ray's over 30. I think that's very significant, because you have to draw on that legal experience that you've had to, one, understand the law, and two, understand the parties and the issues of the parties. You could have a death case that involves an automobile accident. You have one party saying the light was green and the other saying no, mine was green. So Those issues generally are resolved by the jury, who is the finders of the fact, while the judge determines the law. But the fact of the matter, that's what you deal with, for example. And it's not a trite example, but it's certainly an example that with enough experience in the legal field, you get to separate, as I say, the chaff from the wheat.
Thank you. Thank you very much. We're going to stop right here for a moment and take a break here on the Political Hour, and we'll have more here on this show with candidates running for the Democratic nomination for 92nd District Court of Hidalgo County. Don't go away. Welcome back to the Political Hour here on Bronc Radio, and we have candidates here running for the Democratic nomination for the 92nd District Court. A very interesting, lively debate going on right now, so let's go ahead and continue. We'll start first with Ms. Singleterry, and the next question is going to be, what will the challenge be, in your opinion, with the 92nd District Court once you're elected?
The challenges?
Yes.
Well, I think every day would pose new challenges. Every case poses different challenges. Every case is unique. You know, when you've been practicing long enough, you start to realize that every case, whether it's a family law case, whether it's a criminal case, whether it's a civil case, carries its own unique, set of facts and factors and parties and whatnot. I believe that that's going to be probably one of the challenges, is to try to maintain a balance. It's not an easy job to do, to try to have the right outcome each and every time. As you well know, every time people step into a courtroom, the majority of the time, one party prevails, the other side does not. The way you take care of that issue, I think, is simply by doing what I've been doing, for the last 10 years, again, as a judge. You try to treat everybody fairly. You make sure that everybody is treated equally. And at the very least, what people should expect from their judges when they walk into a courtroom is to be treated with respect and with dignity. Those are very simple things that one can, as a judge, can do to at least make sure that everybody, when they walk out of your courtroom, feels like they were treated fairly. People are intimidated to walk into courtrooms. People are uncomfortable. Even when people show up for jury duty, people have this sense of nervousness. I know I sense that from people that walk into our courtroom here in the city of FAR. And I think it's very important that we at least do that. It is a challenge to make sure that people walk out, leave, and feel like they were, given a fair shake. So that's probably one of the more difficult things to do, is to make sure everybody feels like they were treated fairly.
Thank you. Mr. Ortiz, same question.
Well, I don't think I'm going to have any challenges in terms of the cases because of my experience, and by that I mean I don't think there's going to be any type of case that I would show up in that court that I would not be familiar with, so that would not be as much of a challenge. Also, my experience as a mediator, like I stated, I was the second mediator in the Rio Grande Valley, not just in Hidalgo County. As a mediator, and I think Mr. Wise is a mediator, you have to deal with people's emotions and issues, so you go beyond the law. So that in itself would not pose a challenge to me because I've dealt with people my whole life. I started my career with legal aid, helping people that were poor, not being able to pay for divorces or evictions or employment cases. So the challenge to me is not going to be the cases or dealing with people. The challenge to me is going to be administration. I come from a business background. One of many things that I've done is own businesses along with Mr. Wise. I believe he started a Subway in Weslaco, and I started a Baskin Robbins in McAllen and Weslaco. I think most people like ice cream over sandwiches, but in any event, the business experience is important because administration is important. You have to administer the courtroom. You have to move the cases, and I'm going to move the cases by making decisions. I'm not the type of person that does not make decisions, and I'm not going to take things under advisement. I'm not going to, grant motions for continuance. That sort of thing. And I think the administration to me is a challenge. But coming from a business background, I think that will help me move the cases and have civil lawyers have their cases heard first. Criminal cases could be heard last. There's no reason why criminal cases should be heard first. It takes up a lot of time away from the lawyers and the parties that are involved in the courtroom. So my challenge is going to be in the administration, not in the cases. Thank you, Omar.
Thank you, Mr. Ortiz. Mr. Wise, the same question.
Thank you very much. I agree with Ray in that I don't see any challenges. If you've been practicing law long enough, you've seen quite a bit, and you've probably seen almost everything. Of course, now and then some will pop up where it may be different, but generally, you've pretty much seen and had experience with all the aspects of the law. Certainly, Ray is right. My wife and I did open the first Subway restaurant in the Valley. It was actually in Brownsville. We had 4 franchises, and when I got elected to the legislature, my wife said, "Well, you got 3 little boys. I can't watch them while you're in Austin." So we ended up selling the stores, and she stayed home and took care of the kids until they were old enough, and she went back to work. But administration is always an issue. But if you have a successful law practice, Ray's got a successful law practice. I've got a successful law practice. I presume Mr. Singleterry has a successful law practice. But if you have a successful law practice, managing and administering your staff is not a difficult issue. When I separated, as I mentioned, from the military, I was an S1 battalion staff officer. That's the administrative officer for an entire battalion. That's 622 men and women. I don't think I'll have a problem with administration. I don't think it'll be a challenge. But certainly, the issue is not necessarily your staff necessarily as much as having to deal with 800 lawyers in Hidalgo County that are making demands on you and your staff to get their cases moving along. So if you run your court properly, that should not be an issue.
Thank you, Mr. Weiss. Now we're going to go ahead and move on to the next question. Please name at least 3 of your top big endorsements, any political figures, mayors, anybody, and we'll start with Mr. Ortiz.
Political endorsements, there's endorsements from all over. The city of Mercedes, mayors behind me, city of Edinburgh, city of McAllen. But really, to me, the endorsements come from the people. I have, if someone asked me last week about my contributors list, and I told them, look at the contributors list. They come from all walks of life. And what I'm proud of, much more, I think, than any political endorsement, are the people's endorsements. I'm a pet advocate. I represent the Humane Society, and as far as I know, I'm the only pet lawyer in the Valley. You've heard of the pet detective, but I represent animals. And so the pet lovers are a big group, and that's an endorsement, a big endorsement. I ride motorcycles in my spare time. I've been riding for 40 years. So the group of motorcyclists are behind me. The realtors are behind me. So there's a vast array, different groups that are endorsing me, that are helping me with this campaign, and that's what I love about campaigning.
Thank you. Mr. Singletary.
Well, let's see, where do I start? The city of Sullivan and all its elected officials have endorsed me. Peñitas, Palmview, La Jolla, the La Jolla School District, Mission, the city of Mission, the city of FAR, the PSJA School Board, Ed Couch, ELSA, the Ed Couch ELSA School Board and the city of Wesco and the city of Donna are 3 that I'm having meetings with here shortly. I don't know, I'm sure I'm missing a few here and there. City of San Juan, city of Alamo have some endorsements there. I have the vast majority of all the elected officials in this county's, the representatives in our area, state reps, are behind me. I will get those endorsements will become official here in the near future. I think that's indicative of the type of person that I am. These people know me personally. I've known many of these individuals, some for just a few weeks, few months. A lot of them I've known for years. I think the one thing that speaks, more highly of what of people that are supporting me is that the majority of the lawyers in Hidalgo County are supporting me. I've been endorsed by the majority of them. I received financial contributions from a lot of them, and I think that's indicative of what these lawyers want to see in the 92nd District Court. You have to keep in mind that the people who primarily deal with judges and the courthouse on a daily basis are the lawyers. And the fact that the majority of the lawyers down here at the courthouse are behind me, I think should send out a clear message as to what it is that they want to see in the courthouse, and the voters of Hidalgo County should take that into consideration as well. That and the fact that almost every city in this county has endorsed me in some form or fashion.
Thank you, Mr. Singletary. Mr. Weiss.
Well, I think making a statement that all the lawyers, a majority of the lawyers endorse a candidate, I think is somewhat out of line. I have not seen endorsement pages. I have not seen signed endorsement pages. I have not seen a poll from the Hidalgo County Bar Association endorsing any candidate. To say that you're liked by lawyers, I think all three of us are liked by lawyers. But certainly, you can get on my website, www.wiseforjudge.com, and the proof's in the pudding. You get on there and you'll see Precinct 1 Commissioner A.C. Coed endorsing me. His endorsement signed is on my website. Our constable, Celestino Avila, he's on there. I know he mentioned the mayor of Elsa. If you look on my website, his endorsement page is there that he signed it, and it's Alonso Perez. You have a commissioner from Ed Couch, Alicia Segura. Get on the website, there she is. The mayor of San Juanita Sanchez. You get on my website, there's her picture and there's her endorsement page. You see the city of Mercedes, Henry Hinojosa, the mayor. You get on my website, you see his picture, you see my endorsement page. So the proof's in the pudding. We can sit here all day long and say everybody endorses us, and until you can actually see that, then I think you can represent to the general public that they endorse you. But until you see those, I think it's just wishful thinking.
Thank you. Mr. Singletary, 30-second rebuttal.
I have all those endorsements signed as well. I also have an endorsement signed by Al Perez, the mayor of Elsa. So I don't know how that happened that he endorsed two candidates, but I have those two. I'd like to post them if people care to see them. But more importantly, I will be running some political ads here in the near future. We'll have a listing of all my endorsements, including some law enforcement unions and other unions here locally as well.
Thank you very much. All right, we're going to, oh, yes, rebuttal.
Thank you, Omar. Ray Ortiz again. Yes, I think it's a pretty bold statement to say that the majority of lawyers are behind you. I don't know where that poll came from. I think Mr. Wise is correct. I think we all have our supporters. If you look at my contributors list, you'll find a large number of lawyers, from civil lawyers to criminal lawyers, supporting me as well. So that's what I wanted to say and inform your listeners.
Thank you very much for that. We're going to move on to the next question here, and this question is actually going to be about the top donors for your campaigns. And we will begin with Mr. Singletary. In the Monitor a few weeks ago, there has been an article written about the campaign funds that have been raised from each of your campaigns, and you lead in the top fundraising for this campaign. The question is, one, name three of your top contributors to your campaign, and the same for everybody. And does money really make a difference in the campaign? So you'll have 2 minutes to speak.
The majority of my donors and those that have, in the higher amounts are all lawyers. The majority of them, I guess, an individual can donate up to $2,500 to any candidate. I have numerous of those. Again, I think that there's a couple of reasons why that is so. One, because we work very hard in our campaign. We have a great core group of people, volunteers, people who are, permanent members of our staff who work tirelessly to try to make these things happen. I've never run for office before. This is all new to me in terms of campaigning. I know I spoke with Mr. Wise some time back, and he's indicated to me that this is the 8th time that he runs for office. The fact that I was the highest fundraiser, again, to me and to the listeners, should be indicative of the fact that this is what our community wants. These people know me. They know me as a person. They know me as a lawyer. They know me as a judge. The fact, and they can dispute the fact that the lawyers are supporting me all they want if they want to. That's their right to do so. But the numbers speak for themselves. The amount of money that I've been able to raise has come from a lot of different attorneys, and again, that's indicative because that's of what it is that they want. If they didn't want you there, they wouldn't be supporting you. And does money make a difference? These campaigns are expensive. There's a lot of things that need to be paid for, a lot of advertising and such, a lot of people that work, for candidates. So it adds up in a hurry. It's always appreciated, and we're very grateful. I'm sure these two gentlemen are very grateful, to their donors. But, having money, available to make all these expenses, of course, it helps. It's not the only thing, because I can assure you that voters of Hidalgo County are not going to allow these positions to be bought. They're going to vote for the best qualified candidates.
Thank you, Mr. Singletary. Same questions to Mr. Weiss.
Thank you, Omar. My three largest donors, I think, are businessmen and women. That's all I can say. I mean, they're folks that get up every morning, don their suits, don their dresses, and go to work and earn a living. And to say that those are my three largest donors says a lot. Again, going back, and I hate to keep harping on Mr. Singletary, but he keeps coming back to this topic. There's over 800 lawyers in this county, and unless he's gotten money from over 400 of them, which is more than 50%, I think there's 880 lawyers, then I think it's pretty bold to come on your show and say the majority of the lawyers endorse me.
Okay. We're going to go with Mr. Ortiz and then Mr. Singletary for rebuttal. Same question for you for 2 minutes, Mr. Ortiz.
I haven't looked at the contributors list as to who are the top donors, but I'm sure that there are business people as well and some lawyers that all met the $2,500 limit. Because I agree with Mr. Wiseman, my support is broad-based, and I don't think you can equate being the top money maker to anything. Who knows who's supporting a particular candidate and what they're doing to get that money. But my vast majority of contributors are, like I said in the paper, come from all walks of life. And but if you're talking about the top three, I'm sure they're all business people.
Thank you very much, Mr. Ortiz. 30-second rebuttal to Mr. Weiss's response. Mr. Singletary.
All of this is public record. Get online, you see the list of contributors, the amount that's been contributed. I have plenty of donors who have donated small amounts of money. People, everyday folks, people that have nothing or are familiar with the legal environment, the courthouse, or lawyers in general. People from all walks of life. These are folks, again, who believe in me, who want to support me, and because I've been doing a good job, they believe that I will continue to do a good job for the citizens of this county.
Thank you, Mr. Singletary. We're going to take a quick break here on the Political Hour, and we'll have more with the candidates for the Democratic primary for the 92nd District Court here on Bronc Radio. Welcome back to the Political Hour on Bronc Radio, and we are still here with the candidates running for the Democratic nomination for the 92nd District Court. And we're going to continue with a few more questions before we end today's show. So the next question will be, what do you think needs to be done in the court in order to be efficient with everything that goes on into the day-to-day operations of the District Court? So we're going to start with Mr. Ortiz and work our way down.
Thank you, Omar. I think I alluded to that earlier in terms of administration. In order to make a court more efficient, number one, you have to show up on time. That's a problem that I have with some of the judges that are there right now. You're a public servant, so you need to show up on time, work your 8 to 5 job, sometimes later than that. You can't be taken off on Fridays. And one of the things that I'd like to do is there's I don't know if the word is habit or if there's just the way the judges work at the present time, where they handle the criminal cases first, and so they make all the civil lawyers wait. And I think that's something that I'd like to change. The criminals are not going anywhere, so you can bring them back at 4 o'clock in the afternoon if you want to hear their cases. It's important for the litigants, people that have filed lawsuits, to have their cases heard. It's important to make decisions. It's important for the lawyers that are getting paid by these people not to be wasting their time. So as a business person and using my business background, I want to see what I can do to make the courts more efficient.
Thank you, Mr. Ortiz. Mr. Singletary.
Well, obviously, you need to find a way to make the courtroom a very efficient place. The way you accomplish that is not simply by saying, well, we're going to handle the civil cases first and we're going to give priority to the civil lawyers. I think that would just be inappropriate. The fact of the matter is that you need to prioritize. You need to look at your docket ahead of time and figure out how much time you're going to spend on that day with certain cases. Criminals not going anywhere shouldn't mean that they should wait, till the end. All the attorneys should be treated fairly, equally, and really at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter what type of case you have there. You, as the judge, you need to do your job ahead of time, prepare for each and every day, and make sure that you run an efficient courtroom. And again, that simply is in the hands of the judge. You have to do your homework, just like you expect your lawyers to be prepared when they walk into your courtroom. I think the lawyer should expect the judge to be prepared when he takes the bench. Just before I got here, I was presiding over some cases in the municipal court, and we do a lot more than traffic tickets and whatever it was that you said earlier. In fact, you should come down there sometime and visit with us so you could see what's actually going on there. We had lawyers there this morning. There were some cases being heard. I had to be, here at a certain time. So I had to find a way ahead of time yesterday and the days before preparing for today's hearings so that we could make sure we schedule them accordingly, get them done on time and in an efficient manner. I don't think we need to, point out at any particular group and say, well, you guys are going to go first, you guys go last, you guys have been going first all this time. It's just a matter of a judge doing his or her work and find a way to be as efficient as possible.
Thank you, Mr. Singletary. Mr. Wise.
First and foremost, Omar, I think you need to have competent staff that understands the issues of the lawyers and the issues of the parties. Ray is correct. You do have, some judges who put criminal first, and you have some that put civil first. And I think an alternative B is alternate days or alternate times of day. You do your criminal docket in the morning, your civil docket in the morning, and your criminal in the afternoon or in the morning, vice versa. That's certainly very important. But I think more important than anything else, I think to run an efficient, the secret to run an efficient court is to always keep in mind that the courtroom doesn't belong to you, the judge. And in fact, it doesn't belong to the lawyers. It belongs to the individuals, the citizens of this county who seek access to justice. As long as you keep that in mind, I think you'll have a very, very good running courtroom.
Thank you, Mr. Wise. We are going to wrap things up with the final question here, and this will be a very good one here. We're going to go ahead and finish off with final remarks and most especially why people should vote for you in this primary. So we're going to start with Mr. Wise, and each of you will have 3 minutes to present your cases.
Well, how appropriate. Thank you for presenting our cases. We have, I have a wealth of personal experience, of life skills, and legal education to, I believe, suit me for this job. I think you need a judge with judicial temperance who understands really the issues of not only the lawyers and the issues of the individuals, but obviously the issues regarding the cases that are before you. One of the things that life experience that I've had, for example, is my scouting experience. My scouting experience is very important because you know what? If you can deal with young men and women, because scouting, Boy Scouting, does have women, believe it or not, 14 to 21-year-olds, male and female co-eds in the mentoring program. If you can deal with young men and women, I think you can deal with most adults, although some adults tend to act like 14-year-olds. But generally, I think if you have experience with youth, and there's certainly the values that scouting teaches, which is citizenship training and character development and mental, physical, and spiritual fitness. I think as long as you keep those core values, those tenets together, I think those are the makings of a good judge. And certainly my past experience in the legislative branch, my experience in the executive branch, I think would lend well to help me in the judicial side of the branch of government. Certainly, being a judge entails more than just putting on a black robe. And it, as Ray mentioned, and I think Ray agrees, it has to do with experience. And certainly the experience I've had in my legal career, my experience as a businessman, my experience as an experienced lawyer, I think more than qualifies me for this position. And I would certainly ask the voters of this county for their support and their vote.
Thank you, Mr. Wise. Mr. Singletary.
One of the many things that I think is important for the voters to know is our background, the type of persons that we are, because again, we all have a certain degree of experience in our professional lives. I am a lifelong resident of Hidalgo County. I grew up, in these areas. I understand the wants and the needs of our community. I have represented literally thousands of people. I don't represent just big entities and banks and, I represent individuals, everyday people, literally thousands. I come from very humble beginnings. My background, my mom migrated here from Mexico at the age of 18. She had me when she was 21 years old. She was a single mom for about a year until she met my dad. I was very fortunate that he came into my life. My dad was a teacher at Mac High. He taught there for 34 years. My mom didn't have an education, but she knew the importance of obtaining an education. My dad, being a teacher, always emphasized an education. Always told us the education is your equalizer. That's how you can, make something of yourself in life. We're no strangers to hard work and sacrifice, because that's how we were able to obtain everything that we have, including that education. I worked when I was in college and undergrad. From day one, when I arrived at the university, I started working and I worked my way through college. Nothing was ever handed to me, nothing was ever given to me. Hard work and sacrifice is the way I was brought up. I did that then, I did it in my practice. I will continue to do that for the citizens of this county when elected to the 92nd District Court. The core values that I have came from my mom and my dad. I am an ethical person. I have a vast, an abundance of experience in the types of cases that I handle. The cases that I've handled over the last 15 years are exactly the same types of cases that are going to be heard in that 92nd District Court. I believe that my experience alone as an attorney, having handled the difficult cases, it's one thing to fight for money. It's yet another to fight for family members. But when you are fighting for somebody's life, that's when you really know that you've gone to the max. And those are the kind of cases that I have handled. There's no cases that are going to be too much or too little for me in the courtroom. Again, my experience as an attorney alone make me the best qualified candidate in this race. But you also have to take into consideration the 10 years that I've already had as a judge. And there's a lot more going on in the city of FAR that these two folks are leading you to believe. The city of FAR is not a small town. It's a growing city. We have big city issues. We have a lot of very serious cases going through those courts, and we take part in all of that on a daily basis. So I'd ask the voters to take that into consideration.
Thank you. Mr. Ortiz.
Thank you. First of all, I want to take some time to rebut Mr. Singleterry's comments. No matter how much experience he says that he has, he has 15 years experience. That doesn't come, Mr. Wise has double that amount. I have more than Mr. Wise. So to say that he has the most experience as a lawyer is incorrect and has been misleading the public. The second thing he's misleading the public on is this about being a judge. You're a municipal court judge. I've been to all the municipal court judges in this county. And I guess to believe that so has Mr. Wise. I know what municipal judges do. It's by code. The government code sets out what municipal judges do. They enforce the laws of the city. Ask him if there's ever been a murder case in municipal court. No. A personal injury case? No. Unemployment case? No. A divorce? No. These are the cases that I've actually tried in district court time and time again. So my campaign is simple. I'm running on maturity and experience. And like Mr. Wise says, but it goes beyond your legal experience. It goes to your work experience. I've been working since I was 16 years old, as I mentioned earlier. And it also goes to your life experiences. And those life experiences that I've had, in the last half century, are going to make me more sympathetic, more empathetic to the people that are before me. I started my career legal aid. I know about poor people. I know how to represent poor people. I know about women's issues, because that's what I did at legal aid when I started, dealing with women that needed a divorce, or women that were trying to get evicted, or women that are being sexually harassed at work. I know women, and women are 54% of the voters. I know about child custody cases. I know about motorcycle accidents. I know about personal injury cases. I know about real estate. So that broad-based experience, qualifies me to be a judge to hear these types of cases. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We are actually out of time now. I am very sorry. We are actually out of time here on the Political Hour. But I want to thank y'all for coming on the show.
Thank you.
Thank you for having us, Omar.
Thank you, Omar.
Thank you.
Thank you, Omar.
And remember, UTPA will be an early voting site at the Student Union. Early voting begins February 17th and lasts through February the 28th. For all of us here on Bronc Radio, this has been Omar Jimenez for another edition of the Political Hour. And also a reminder that February the 11th, a Covenant, Renee Guerra and Ricardo Rodriguez will be debating here at UTPA at the Ballroom, hosted by the History Club at UTPA. That will start at 7 p.m., doors open at 6:30. Have a great week, everybody, and we'll be back for more next week.